Hey.
Hi,
What's going on?
everyone. Yeah,
Everyone,
welcome to another Escapement Show. Yeah, how you doing, everyone?
good,
You
good.
doing
Very
How are
well,
well.
you guys
JTB?
doing?
Yeah, all good. Just having a whiskey. So Saturday night here in Melbourne. So unwinding with a drink. Good to join
Good,
you. Have
good.
a bit of a chat before I head to bed. So yeah, all good.
Yeah, it's doing cold up here, up north in the north of
Yeah,
England. So got my hat on, and
mate.
the gas prices for central heating are going up and up. So staying warm with layers. How
Yeah,
about you,
Yeah.
Abdul? Too cold
same
over
here,
in
same
Germany?
here. Yeah, it's minus 11 at the moment here, so
Oh,
it's a bit, let's say, a bit
Ah,
cold. So I'm just drinking some tea
minus
to
11.
minus 11. Yeah, last week it was like minus 15 throughout the days, but now at least we
Fucking
have some
hell.
sun with minus 11, so it's a much better.
Like during the day. During the day, it's that
Yeah, yeah,
cold.
yeah.
Fucking hell. That's insane. Where are you, man? Somewhere in Germany, right?
Black Forest in the Black Forest in Germany.
Okay.
very cold.
South
Yeah,
south of
yeah.
Germany, yeah, like 1,000 meters above sea level. So
Okay.
basically,
Okay.
we live like inside the edge of the forest. So we get like really
Wow.
good sunshine, but like a freezer effect, like a
Is
cold
it
wind from every side.
a valley in the mountains?
Valley,
Is it?
exactly. Yeah.
Right, right. So I'd
But
say
it's not.
hi to
Hey,
Dodger.
Dodger.
He's saying hi to us all. How you doing, Dodger? Good to see you.
Hi, buddy. It sounds beautiful though, like living in the Black Forest in Germany. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like a fairy tale sort of thing. It must be nice in summer and spring and
Yeah,
whatever. Spring
it's
probably
really
is the
nice.
time.
And really winter, like you have white, so you have everything in white, and you can
Yeah.
walk in the forest. It's really nice. Exactly, Jamie. Hey, Jamie.
Yeah,
Cuckoo
Dodger's
clock
saying it's the same
is
here
everywhere here.
in. Dodger's saying it's the same here in Poland. It's the same as you, Abdul, in Poland.
Hmm.
Cold and
Yeah.
snowy. Yeah, and Jamie, hi Jamie. He's saying Black
Correct.
Forest is cuckoo. Excuse me, cuckoo clock territory.
Yeah.
Where you get all the cuckoo clocks, Abdul?
Yeah. The German museum is not far from here, and they do like tours where you can make a tour inside the whole museum and then build your own cuckoo clock and take it back home.
Brilliant. That must be
Classic.
great.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Paint it and make it and paint it. Great.
Exactly, painted, and then you choose the bird and everything. And you can buy here cuckoo clocks practically in every small village around because they have been doing it since hundreds of years.
Wow. So we had a little topic today of chronographs from before the year 2000, which basically meant a lot of vintage stuff.
Yeah. So what's that like? That's what are we now? 2023. That's getting. What do we
Almost,
call that?
you
Yeah,
could,
vintage.
you
Call
could
it vintage. It's getting
almost say,
vintage, right?
yeah, 30 years is vintage, so you could almost say it's vintage.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Mason. One.
I made
amazing one.
one blank
Yeah.
50 fathoms on the wrist. Beautiful watch.
Nice.
That's 50-15 you've got. Yeah.
Speaking of which, we do a wrist check. I'm wearing a Transocean chronograph. We'll have a look at this one a bit more later as well.
Cool.
I haven't got any chronographs. I need to actually get into chronographs, but I'm just wearing a glycine combat sub.
Combat sub. Nice.
Yeah, I have sold 2 chronograph last weeks, and the only chronograph I have now is this 9/4 watches. It's a quartz chronograph, but yeah, it does the job for at home timing small stuff.
Hi, Jonathan. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Jonathan.
JQH3
In the house.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, so when I was looking at my picks, they range from sort of the earliest automatic chronographs. I've got a couple. There's manual winds, but like early, I've got I think 1951, I think, is the first one, right up until right up until 2000, and what some watches that go beyond 2000, like their run starts before 2000 and it goes after 2000. So I've kept them. I think that's fine because they were produced before 2000. So yeah, quite an eclectic mix of watches, and I'm sure you guys are probably the same as well. So it should be an interesting show to look at what we come up with.
Yeah, Jonathan's just asking, which chronograph were you wearing, JCB?
This is a Breitling Transocean Chronograph limited edition. Look at my face out of there.
Lovely, cool. That's beautiful. Very cool. Love the mesh bracelet as well.
Yeah, I've got this on the rubber mesh, which is really comfy. I'm getting into rubber straps lately. They're just comfortable. Yeah, they're so comfortable, man. Like,
it's very comfortable.
I'm taking my watches. I tend to take them off the steel now and put them on a rubber or something like that. I was a bit annoyed because with the Rolex, I've got a GMT Master 2, and that one, it's almost like they've set it up so that you can only wear it with the bloody bracelet. Like, it's
the rubber
really...
bee. Try the rubber bee. I have 2 rubber bees, and
the rubber
to be honest, they're so much more comfortable than the bracelet.
Really I'll probably put the money in and get one. They're just a bit expensive, so I'll just I'll probably.
Howdy, Zippo. Good to see you, boy.
Yeah, good to see you, Flippin. Maybe we'll crack on because I know we've all got a few.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to crack on first, JCB?
Yeah, cool. Let's do it. Yeah, I'll jump on in no particular order. So to the guys who are in the chat, and also if you're people tuning in the future, we just thought we'd sort of look at chronographs, not really anything significant, just our favorite ones that are pre-2000. So that's really just the topic of the show, and because they're pre-2000. That sort of predates the time that I was getting into watches. I got into watches around 2010, sort of 2009, 2010. So my watch knowledge is really based on pieces that came from around that time and onwards. Yeah. So, I'm probably, I won't be doing any deep dives into the history of these pieces or the movements too much. But I've got some. When we look at the pieces, there's some websites and some articles that dive into this stuff. So if you're interested in the pieces and you want to have a look at them in a bit more detail and learn about them, I'll sort of talk about some of the websites and some other resources that are around for you to have a look at. So let's have a look. What do we got here? Sorry, Thomas. So I'll just I'll put this up. Hopefully that's there. So in no particular order, just sort of starting off with probably one of the most iconic chronographs, I think.
Yeah, it came about in 1969, and it was the first automatic chronograph that Heuer made, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And it was the first square automatic chronograph ever made that was also waterproof as well. So it ticks a lot of sort of historical boxes. It ticks a lot of firsts, this watch. And I was lucky enough to actually get to try on an original 1969 version. The first run of the watch. I went to a meetup. It was actually sort of hosted by the Watches of Switzerland guys in Melbourne. And they brought out their Tag Heuer collection. And so this is the owners of Watches of Switzerland bringing out their own personal Tag Heuer collection.
Interesting.
Wow.
And they had a whole ton of watches. It was really cool. And they had one of these, and it just was unreal. So good. Ever since I had it on the wrist, I was like, man, this watch is really cool. There's just something about this original, the first one. And I've tried on the reissue one as well, which is cool, but not quite as cool as this one. This one, it's like it's vintage, but it's modern all at the same time. It's got like a lot going for it. I reckon this
That's
watch
the
is just.
Caliber 11, isn't it? That one.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, the original watch Caliber 11, I think maybe a couple of years after they upgraded it to Caliber 12, but this one here is the one that we all know, the Caliber 11. Monaco, Steve McQueen obviously made the watch super famous. There he is there. So this is a Revolution article which I just was I dug up during the week just to have a look at it. So if you want to sort of read about a bit more of the history, this is just one of many articles that you can go and have a look at. But
well, Heuer were getting really into motor racing at that time, and Jack Heuer was a big fan, and I think it's the Joachim Rindt or something. I can't remember the name of the Joachim Rindt, the racing driver. He was one of the first people to wear Heuer watches.
And, I think Jack Heuer was one of the first dudes to start sponsoring like race cars.
Yeah, you used to see Heuer all over the race cars, and he was one of the first to start sponsoring race cars, I think. Yeah, which is where Steve McQueen came into it. You see, with Heuer on his chest, on his racing.
Yeah. And I love this photo. They've got a photo of him. You'll be able to check him out cruising around. So this is filming for the movie Le Mans, which is where obviously Steve McQueen wore the watch for the movie. Check him out, man. Just the king of cool, Steve McQueen cruising around on a motorbike, no top on, with two chicks, not just one, but two.
Really?
On the back. What a fucking legend, man, this guy was. He's the man. He's the man. Definitely the man.
The king of cool.
If somebody would have made the square watches cool, it's Steve McQueen, like that's because the square rectangular shape is always to more dressier, like the Gégé Lecoutre and the Cartier. And then when Steve McQueen wore this watch, it's a sports watch, which is square.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's cool. I don't know if you guys have ever tried one on the wrist. It's a little bit thick, but besides that, it's pretty nice to wear. You would think because it's got all these sharp, like it looks sort of sharp and it looks a bit unwieldy, but on the wrist it's not too bad. It's pretty cool piece, I reckon. If I had the coin, I'd front up for one of those original. One of these bad boys. They're pretty cool. One of these Caliber 11s.
When I think of vintage chronographs, I immediately think of Heuer. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that's right. They had a lot of lines. They had the Carrera, they had the Ottavia, they had this one. They sort of own
the Monza, so many different chronographs Heuer have done. Yeah, really pretty pioneering.
So we'll move on. So this one here, this is the Breitling reference 810 top time. We'll just talk about the Breitling top time. The Breitling top time, they sort of come in two flavors generally. They've got the two register chronographs, which is the 2000 series reference numbers, and then the 3 register chronographs, which is the 800 series reference numbers. You'll see. So this is the 810. And what I didn't know actually when I bought my watch was that it's based on this watch, the reference 810. So here's a cool picture of this one here. You can see this, right? Look at that. And I'll just hold this up next to it, and you can see.
Once it gets the same DNA, hasn't it?
They've basically they've reissued that exact watch there, the 810 in my watch. Basically, it's not a one for one. It's not a one for one because you can see
you have the date complication. The original doesn't.
Yeah, that's right. And the subdials are bigger. on this watch.
Yeah.
This watch is a lot bigger as well. It's a 43. But you can see clearly like the markers, the tachometer, just the layout of the watch. It's very much based on the reference 810. So yeah, I didn't know that when I bought this watch, and then I started looking into it, and I was like, oh man, look, this watch is really cool. The reference 810. It's a banging piece. It was brought out in 1964. And it's well, the cool thing about these are vintage chronographs, but they're 38 mil, so the size is pretty modern compared to say the Carrera of the time. Thanks, JQH. The Carrera of the time was maybe 35 mils, 36 mil, or something like that. So this is the same era as the Carrera, but this is just something to look at because A, it's a bigger size, and B, it's cheaper than what a vintage Carrera would cost. So my prices on Chrono are all in Aussie dollars. So this is at the upper end of what you would pay, but this one here is super clean, full set. This is sort of at the top end of what you'd pay. So just a little sort of a little sort of a little alleyway to go down if you're looking at the vintage Breitling or just vintage sort of 60s vintage chronographs.
What sort of year would that be? Is that a 60s piece or 70s?
So these ran from 64 up until about, like, I'm going to say 70, 74, 75, something like that.
Yeah,
so
right.
they had quite a run. And you can see that, they came basically in a silver dial and a black dial. And there's also some different, they had some gold plated ones as well. So there's a few different, variants there to have a look at. One of the ones which came later in the 70s was this one here. It's called the 815. So we just saw the 810. This one's called the 815, and it's called the long playing because this one had a longer power reserve. So they put in an extra long mainspring barrel, mainspring into this one. And so that's what it's called, long playing, because it's got like 50-hour power reserve as well. So manual wind with 50 hours, and really cool. I mean, look at this watch, the silver dial with the black. This would be my pick out of the sort of reference 810, reference 815. Like those two, I would go for this one. This is pretty cool piece, I reckon. So where are we at? We're at sort of like 1972. I thought we'd keep the time frame going nicely around the same period. 1971, the reference 6263 came out in 71, and you can see it sort of originally came out with, like, it had a Newman tropical dial when it first came out, the 6263. But the one that I really like in the 6263 is the Big Red. It's called the Big Red Daytona because it has obviously Daytona written
in red. Yeah.
Big Red on the dial. Yeah. So I reckon this is probably up in my favorite watches of all time. Like in my top sort of, if I had like a top three or top 2 or 3 pieces, this would be close to the top. I just think. I think I spoke about this on the Grail show that we did, so I won't spend too much time on it. But just in terms of, look at the design of the watch. It's just it's timeless. They nailed it with the bezel, that Bakelite bezel. I'm getting drawn into these silver dial ones more. I like the black one, but the more I see this silver one, I just think, man, what a piece. Like, it's just, it's a perfect watch. Like, it's just perfect. And I think it's about 37 mil. So it's on the smaller side, but still it's still fine. Like, you know, 36, 37 mil is still a good size. So
yeah.
and who gives a shit about the size when you're wearing one of these? Like, really,
Exactly.
like, who cares? It's just one of the coolest watches going around. Yeah, I love this one. And so there's a few different variants. So this is a super rare
Wow.
one here. It's called the lemon. They call this the lemon, this one, because it's so it's a
Gold.
gold 6263, yeah, with the black bezel, black inserts, but it's got the Newman dial, and this particular Newman dial is like it's like they call it a lemon color.
Mm,
Super rare. One of only
wow.
3 known in the
Wow.
world that have this. So these, you know, are priceless. This priceless watch, absolutely priceless piece. Well, not priceless, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah. I mean, I
Just
think if I could have, if I'm gonna just go out there and say, if I could just have one watch, if someone put a gun to my head and said, "Dude, you can only have one watch in your whole life," I reckon it would be this one. Just love this Daytona. Moving on.
Yeah,
So the
I love the silver dials more. I just wanted to say to
yeah.
Doctor, did you want me to drop the link, Doctor?
God.
Sorry, carry on.
No worries. Yeah, I mean, look at this. Like, fuck, this thing, this silver dial.
That's perfect. Yeah, the silver on the black.
Yeah, the silver. I'm much more a fan of the silver dials on these watches.
Me as well.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you.
Much more legible. Much more
Yeah,
legible.
exactly. And
Yeah.
this reverse stand or this band, the look, it gives it somehow the black subdials make the watch look somehow more beautiful. I don't know why, or at least for me.
Yeah, no, I think I'm with you guys. The more I look at the silver, I think they pretty much nailed it. Like, it's sort of the perfect watch, I reckon. It's just
definitely.
What they did was then they replaced the actually, let's have a look at the price. Look at this one. I was looking on Chrono before, and you can see you can really see. Sorry, I'll zoom in. Hopefully, you guys can get to see this. But look at the silver, like the sunburst, the grains on the dial. It's just a really special piece, I think. This silver one, it's unreal. And the prices are, it's high, but it's not ridiculous. It's not like 200 grand, or it's not like you could sort of justify spending that sort of money, I reckon, on one of these.
It's a 4-numbered reference from a Daytona, a very limited one, vintage, the condition. You can buy a new one that's available now and produced with millions. The price for like maybe 35. So I guess it's and that's also right.
So yeah, that's Aussie too. Yeah, that's Aussie.
Then definitely it's I think a good price for if you compare it to, let's say, a modern Daytona, which is produced by and still until now and will be produced more.
But having said that, look at the prices are, well, they're a bit all over the place though. So some are in that 90 sort of range, but then you get ones that are really expensive. I don't know why. I'm not sure what the deal is. Maybe this guy's dreaming at that price. I really don't know. But there's a bit of the prices are sort of spread out. So I guess it's just, you could hunt around and find one for a bit of a bargain, I reckon. Or not a bargain, but you could get a decent price one somewhere. All right, so that's the big red, and then I think another cool piece I like is the Zenith Daytona.
Yeah.
This one here, the Zenith. So they replaced the 6263 with this watch, and they put in a Zenith caliber 400, but it's really modified. The movement is I think they call it it's the caliber 4030 Rolex caliber, and it's really highly modified. I was reading somewhere that it's like they've made about 200 changes to the movement, so it's you probably wouldn't even recognize it as a Zenith movement. And just one of the things they did was, they detuned it from, being a high beat movement down to sort of normal beat, 28.
Right, interesting.
28.8, yeah. So Zenith caliber 400 is a 36,000 beats per minute or whatever. This one's a 28.8. So they detuned it. They put in some different parts. I think it's got a Breguet overcoil as well. So they've made it more robust, more. I wouldn't say it's more accurate than an El Primero, but it's probably it lasts longer between services and all that sort of stuff. The problem with these is that they're getting really fucking expensive now.
Yeah.
Like the collectors have got onto these probably just recently too. Like in the last 12 months, the market for these has gone nuts. Like this will cost you more than yeah. More than you're paying like about the same as a Panda Daytona, like a new ceramic one. These are and even collector sets, like collector full set pieces in really good condition, will cost you probably more than a ceramic Daytona on the secondary market. They've become really collectible for some reason. I don't know why, but people are jumping on these. Maybe it's the Zenith thing. I really don't know. But you can see here, I mean, this is really the first modern Daytona. You can, obviously, let's have a look compared. So, you had the solid.
It's interesting because the modern Daytona, I start to lose interest in it. From the Zenith to the ceramic ones, I start to lose interest in Daytonas.
Yeah.
That's actually my favorite Daytona. This one,
really,
the one with Zenith. Yeah, it's such a cool watch, and it has like small stuff like the inverted 6, like it where you have the 6, which was inverted, so I have like 2 9s, and basically this watch I had like on my Chrono 24, just looking at it, and it went up from like 12.5 till like the two-tone one. The two-tone one is always cheaper, and it went like 20, 22 now, and I'm like, it's a two-tone Daytona that's now selling for 22.
One thing that's cool, I mean, there's a few little things that are cool about this watch. You can see how the subdial hands line up with the 9 and the 3. So that's on the same plane, right? Whereas on the new Daytonas, this is up here. So, and this is up here. So it's a little bit, it's not symmetrical anymore. The subdials have actually moved up a little bit. Whereas on the Zenith, it's nice, and it's sort of nice and symmetrical, and the lines all match up. When if you put a straight line across from 9 till 3, you get this nice straight line. Whereas on the new Daytona, it's up. The hands are up there. It's just like, it's a small thing, but once you notice it and you look at it, it's like, oh man, that's a bit weird, And another thing, I think these. I think the subdial rings are just a little bit thinner on this watch as well, and it's a little bit more elegant as compared to the newer one. So yeah, just small things like that, which I think maybe that's why the collectors are getting onto them. It's just maybe overall it's a little bit more of a nice watch. Hey, Lux Report, good to see you, man. So yeah, that's that. And then as Abdul was saying, you get there's some dial variations here as well. So the first series had this porcelain dial. So these are really valuable, these ones. There's ones which had a 4-line as well. And then you've got this thing here, the Patrizzi dial. see the color of the subdials, how it's patinaed to this orange color. So that's a flaw. That was a flaw in the varnish that they used to cover up the subdials there, or the paint. Basically, the paint had a flaw in it. So over time, you get this crazy patina that's developed in the Patrizzi dial. So when you'll hear Patrizzi in the Rolex Daytona people. They'll speak about, it's a Patrizzi dial. That's what these ones are. And then there's also I think there's the inverted 6 ones as well that Abdul was mentioning before. So yeah, just overall, I think there's a cool pieces, but unfortunately, we've all probably missed the boat by about a year, I reckon, because the prices have just gone. They weren't popular like a year ago, I reckon. I mean, maybe they were popular, but not as popular as they've become now. Yeah, now it's just like, so this guy did quite a good article on it. If you want to go and have a look, the Watch Lounge, that we're looking at those prices again. They're just all over the place with these. You're going from 30s up to, look at this, 160. Like I think the porcelain dial that I was mentioning before. That's the one that's really quite expensive. But I reckon as a good sort of ballpark, like US, probably US 30 to US 40 is probably the sort of market for where they might be. Have they got much more to go from there? I'm not too sure, given current. The thing is, like, even in the current market with modern Rolexes dropping, taking a bit of a dive, these ones don't seem to be taking that dive. They're just sort of stable at the price. So really cool looking piece, I think.
I think the only thing that might push the Daytona down is when the phase of everybody thinking that the Daytona is the best Rolex watch ends, and people starting looking at, like, let's say Sky Dweller or whatever. And then, because let's say 20 years ago, the Daytona was like sold with discount, like it wasn't the watch that everybody was sought after, like the Day-Date, for instance, was more sought after than Daytona, and it's just changed with years, and let's say it comes back and goes like some kind of fashion.
Mason's got a good comment here. The world seemed to go nuts for Daytonas after the Newman Daytona went for so much money at auction some 7 to 8 years ago.
Yeah,
good point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I was listening to I'm just trying to think of the video. I was watching a video. Someone was talking. I think it might have been. You know who does it? There's a watch chronicler. That's the guy. Armand, the watch guy. He's
Armand,
like,
watch chronicler.
He did a good video on Daytona history, and I'm pretty sure it was there that he was saying that when this one came out, it sort of started off the wait list for Daytonas. Like this became really popular actually. Maybe not this one. Maybe it was the one after that, the Rolex. The Rolex movement actually. So they before Newman's watch, Rolex Daytonas were popular. But what Maison One saying is obviously true as well. That with Newman's Daytona going, it just went a whole nother level of popularity and fucking nuttiness came into the market for Daytonas. So yeah, I mean they were getting popular before, but now it's pretty crazy. So we'll leave the Daytonas. We know and love those. The other watch I really like is we're going back in time now, so 50s again.
Nice.
The Breguet, the Type 20. This is actually, so I like the three register version of the Type 20. With this
is the Mark III, isn't it? This is the Mark III, I believe.
Yeah, look, I'm not sure, Thomas, about that. What the mark was, or what the mark, whatever, because Breguet Type 20 history is it's a bit patchy because they had civilian models. They had like a civilian line of the Type 20s going, and then they had the military line of the Type 20s going as well. So again, Watch Chronicler did a good video on Type 20s, and there's another guy called Watch History. Go check those videos out. They're on YouTube, and they go into the history of Type 20s. There were obviously not only Breguet producing Type 20s. There was, Arain, Dodin.
Yeah,
there was quite a few. I think Matthew Tissot as well.
Yeah.
So the Type 20 is just the 15-minute register. Yeah. So this is the civilian. The one I like here is the civilian one here, which is the three reg. The original, like the military issue one, started off with just a 2-register chronograph.
Just a second, guy.
Yeah, no worries, Abdul. So, and there's lots of different types of these watches around, but for some reason, I think I like these one with the thin bezel. So we'll just click on that. You can see this piece here. But the Type 20s is a whole rabbit hole of, like, you could spend months going down the Type 20 rabbit hole and still not figure it all out. I reckon there's a lot there.
Like Mason says, so this has got a large 15-minute register at 3 o'clock, like the Longines Big Eye, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So Type 20, they started off with a 30-minute register, and Breguet was one of the first ones to bring out this 15-minute register. So what happens is they modify the movement so that each minute it clicks forward 2 minutes, two minutes. So it's a 15-minute counter instead of being a 30-minute counter. So that's what you get this the 15-minute timer for, and that was apparently because 15 minutes was the time that it took to time getting an aircraft refueled and ready to take off again. So doing the sort of, once you land and come in and get your aircraft ready again to take off, it should be a 15-minute cycle that they wanted to time. So that's why they changed over to this 15-minute chrono Big Eye counter. So that's just a little bit of a tidbit there for why it's a 15-minute counter. So yeah, cool. I mean, look at this watch. I mean, it's just sort of, it's so cool, man. This whole military vibe that's going on. It's just unreal. Love it.
Yeah.
And again, these watches are quite big as well, 38 mil, and not too thick. They're about 13.5, so really great size, I think. Good piece to look at. Maybe the Breguet is probably going to be quite expensive. If you want to have a look at some cheaper ones, I think Handheart maybe might be a good one to look at. And I think Matthew Tissot, maybe Tissot did a reissue, perhaps. I'm not sure. And then there's obviously
I think the Big Eye. It's called the Big Eye, I think, something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
the Longines also makes the Longines Big Eye. It's very similar to this Breguet.
Yeah,
and I love that they make the bezel so you can even time longer spans of time. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool watch. Then there's all different types of Type 20s that you can get into and have a look at. So as I said, if you want a rabbit hole to go down, if you're bored in the watch game, go down the Type 20 rabbit hole. I'm sure you'll have fun there. Finishing off with a banger. This is the Patek Grand Complication reference 2499. So what we've got here, we threw in, we were given some liberty to throw in a complicated watch as well with the chronograph. So I've gone for the perpetual calendar chronograph from Patek. This is probably the most famous and the most sort of revered perpetual calendar. I'll just call it Grand Complication from now on. It's a Grand Comp. This one It's not the first one. So the first one was the reference 1815, and then this is the successor to the 1815. So this is the 2499. And what makes this so good is that the 1815 was, I think it was 34 mil or 35 mil, and this one's bumped up to 38 mil, I'm going to say. So at the time when it came out, so what we've got here on the screen is the four series that were produced in the 2499. So series one, so Mark 1, 2, 3, and 4 started off in 1951. So 51 over here, and finished off in 1985 with the series 4. So quite a long time frame, but not many pieces produced in that time. They were cranking out, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 a year or something like that. Maybe more. I don't know the exact numbers, but it sounds like a long time of production. But there's not that many. They weren't producing that many. Out of all of these ones here, this is the first. The first series is the rarest. They produced the least amount of these ones, so this is the most valuable one, and it's also the only one that's got these square, lozenge-shaped pushers for the chrono. All the other ones have the pump style pushers. So it's this combination with the Arabic numerals, the square pushers, and the rarity of the watch makes it very, very valuable. Really, really valuable piece. These sell it off.
Square pushers were very common during the 50s and 60s, weren't they? Though
they were, they were. Right.
That's my favorite one, to be honest. The first one, because of the numerals and the pushers.
Yeah. So, you can see that they're all very similar, but they've all got little tweaks as well. You can see how they went from leaf hands to Dauphine hands, then they went back to leaf, and then back to Dauphine. You can see how they changed the hands. But overall, the pieces look very similar, and a lot of people say that these are the most beautiful Pateks, grand complications of all time, and I agree with that. They're just stunning. They're sort of like the perfect wristwatch for me in terms of like a grand complication. So you had the Rolex, the 6263 for me. That's like the perfect sports watch. This is like the perfect sort of gentleman's dress watch for me. It just ticks all the. So these Dodger at auction. They sell starting at about $1 million, $1.5 million, all the way up to $4 million, that sort of thing. I think at 2499 held the record at one stage for being the most expensive watch at auction. And it was knocked off by. It held that title for quite a while, and it was knocked off by something, I don't know what, but I think it sold for $4 million maybe 15 years ago or something like that.
Wow.
So big money. Super money for these, obviously, and something that's out of our range, but worth dreaming about, and just something that I think if you're into Patek, or if you're into sort of perpetual calendars, if you're into grand complications, it's good to go into the history and have a look at these pieces and just learn about them, because they're really significant piece in the history of watches, really, and revered amongst collectors and quite valuable and yada yada. So just one of those ones I thought I'd bring up and show you guys, and as something as a bit of interest to have a look at.
I just put in here. I know Mason wants a big Navitimer fan. He's saying at some point I should get myself an Olicon wax aviation Navitimer chronograph.
Yeah, I have one of the choices that
he brought
exactly is that. Yeah,
he brought a whole bunch of Navitimer parts when Breitling went bust in the 70s, and he continues to say they then built complete Navitimer watches to order under the aviation brand and sold the new old stock watches slowly over 30 years or so. Sorry, Abdul.
Yeah, because also there, I think in the 80s, I'm not sure, maybe something like that. Also, a lot of other watch companies bought the rights to the Navitimer design, And one of the choices I have also on my list from Zinn, which I think is like putting the German engineering with the Navitime design that was always known that it has its weaknesses for, let's say, waterproof and robustness. So I think that solves the issue, both these issues, if you really like the design. But this watch is amazing, amazing. Yeah, it's just amazing watch.
Yeah, I mean, just stunning piece. The 2499. Go check it out. Now, I just thought just the last one, just as a bit of a wild card and bringing it back down to earth. There's this real weird, funky little watch from Gerard Perregaux called the Richville Chronograph series, and we were talking about tonneau cases. I think on the last show, and here's one here. It's a chronograph series in the tonneau shape. Not many people know about this. I didn't really know about this until maybe about a year ago. But these were quite popular apparently back in the day when they came out. And the cool thing about them is that now that they're cheap, you can pick them up for quite cheap. And they've got quite a few different configurations that you can choose from as well, like different dial colors, 2 register, 3 register. I mean, look at that! Like that's just what a cool looking piece. Yeah,
really.
I just thought it was really interesting. Just sort of an interesting one to show you guys, and something that if you're into, and if you're still wearing dress watches these days, or if you just want something different, just as something a bit out there, off the beaten path, have a look at this. This is Lamania based movements as well, so you're getting good watchmaking here. And I just had a look on Chrono. As I was saying, there's all different types. Yeah. This one's platinum, so don't worry about the 28K one. But you're looking at like a couple of grand. And look at this one here. I just wanted to show you this one in particular. Look at this one here. This is silver dial with these Breguet numerals. With these dolphin hands. It's just a cool piece, man. Really
cool.
It's really great looking watch. Yeah. Just give me 1 second. I'll be out in a sec. There's this blue dial one here is really cool. I think this one might have better photos. Hang on, where is it? Come on, man. Yeah, this one, yeah. It's the funky, it's just an interesting piece, I reckon. Just something different to get into. And look at that. I mean, that watch looks like it's come out of the Patek factory or something, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it does.
It looks like a much more like it's like got a lot of Vacheron sort of Patek vibes coming off it.
Vacheron vibe, definitely got Vacheron vibe.
Yeah, but something interesting to look at anyway. But the Richville line from Gerard Perregaux. So that's it. That were my choices. So I'll leave it there, boys.
I know that you're a big fan of the Blancpain Le Mans chrono, aren't you? Oh, it's gone.
Might have pressed a button by mistake.
Yeah, we just lost JCB. Yeah, Mason wants got a comment here. Yeah, Zinn bought the rights to the design. All I can watch just bought the parts. The Zinn 903 is my future too.
Exactly, and that's the one I'm talking about.
I want at least one watch from each of the Navitime Trinity, Breitling, Zinn, and the Oerlikon Wax. Yeah, so he wants a trilogy. Yeah. Sorry, JCB, you back now?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
I was just saying the Blancpain Le Mans. You really like that as well, didn't you? That chronograph.
Yeah. I had it on my head during the week, but then today I just totally forgot about it. That's another one from left field, which is a cool piece. Another one which was introduced before 2000 and continued to after 2000. And again, that's another one with a few different dial variations. It's got 2 register, 3 register. It's got different numerals you can choose from. Mm-hmm. That's another cool little rabbit hole to go down if you're into the vintage chronographs. The Blancpain Le Mans series, definitely a big one to check out. and they are climbing in value as well. So
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years back, you could pick them up for maybe the 4 to 5K. Now they're going up into that 6 to 7K sort of mark. So they're climbing in value. So good one to check out. Maybe I think they probably might have a bit more movement there as well in the next couple of years too. So another one, definitely. Thanks for reminding me about that one, Thomas. Yeah, good one to check out.
So, do you want to crack on with Abdul's?
Let's do it. Do you have my links, Tom?
I do. Yes.
Perfect. We could even start with the 903 because Maison was also interested in it, and it's
okay.
basically one of my favorite Zin releases because it's the design. I love the Navitimer design, but every time I met somebody from my friends who had one, who always told me, "Don't buy it. It's I'm afraid to wash my hands in it. The watch, I feel like they feel like the quality of the build itself for some of the models weren't that high as they expected." And I tried this Zin out, and I have to say it felt so robust and so like well made, like 100 meters water resistant, the classical Navitime design. It has a Lemania movement in the back, a hand wind Lemania movement, so pretty good movement as well. And you get to see it in this case back. And that's basically, and it's I think like $3,000, $4,000, something like that, under the 3,000, around that range at the moment. So pretty good value for money.
Cool. The Sin 903, I think it is the one that I have in my head, is the one with the crown on the left hand side as well, and you use the crown to operate the inner bezel.
Yeah, they have several variations of this one. They have even one with some kind of moon indications, dates, and other complications. But I love this one because it's just chronograph, no date, no other complication, and you get the Lemania movement in the back. You get to see it, and you just have like really, even though it's a busy dial, somehow it's clean. Like sometimes you look at the busy dial and you see, oh, it's busy, but it's actually clean. It's legible. Everything looks well built.
It's cool, man.
Yeah, it does look nice. A nice choice, Abdul.
Thanks. So this.
Do you want to move on?
Yeah, we could go to the next one. So basically, my choices weren't based on any kind of logical, let's say, choices other than that I liked it, and I tried to choose a complicated chronograph because there are so many chronographs that I like the grand complication ones. But I actually do enjoy also like simple ones, like 2 subdials, or maybe with rattrapante or triple split, something like that. Just the complication itself.
Well, we'll go to rattrapante now. This is a great one. I love this choice, Abdul.
Yeah.
This Breguet.
Boom.
Yeah, this Breguet.
Breguet rattrapante split second chronograph, reference 5947. Sold for $22,500 US dollars in 2017. It's just amazing. Look at that.
So what's the year for this one?
2017. This one sold. So I don't know
I think it's end of the 90s, maybe. Discontinued, something like that. But it's one of these watches that it's just classical look. Like it will never get old, and it will always look classical with the 2 subdials. But you have the rattrapante, you have the split second complication, so you have more complication than you bargain for, and you have also this traditional Breguet. I think it has a little bit of guilloche, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle. If you can zoom in on the picture,
I'll just try that.
I think it's in the bar down in the bottom corner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it has this blued hands and guilloche in the middle, and just looks really, really fine. Like fine watchmaking. Like you have this simple design, small, thin hands, but observatory ends, so you have also good legibility. I like also that they have this combination of the Roman numerals and then the outer chapter ring of the minutes in Arabic. So it just looks really nice, and the movement looks also fantastic as well.
It looks beautiful, Abdullah. Really does. Gorgeous. I'm a huge Breguet fan, and yeah, that really does look nice.
Yeah.
Do they have shots of the movement?
No, they didn't have
No,
a
they don't.
shot
They
of
don't
the
have. Okay.
No, unfortunately. But yeah, that's a really classy one, as Dodger says.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, these types of chronographs are the types of, like, you wear them on a suit and you go on a night out and you enjoy your day, and it just looks really nice on a nice attire, and just simple, and you won't feel threatened by somebody looking at your watch and trying to steal it, because
No.
most of the people won't know even the watch. So that's another advantage at the moment.
Yeah. That's a gorgeous choice, Abdul.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, do you want to move on to your next one?
Let's do it. So I didn't do a deep dive like JCB did on the pieces, but like I said, I'm more focused on how these models are aesthetically pleasing for me. Like, when I look at this watch and I think, okay, this will be on my wrist. I will enjoy looking at it the whole time.
Well, that's what it's all about, really, isn't it?
Exactly, right?
So, got Roger Dubuis. Price on
Ooh.
request. Monopusher chronograph.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this watch is one of these watches that when you look at it, you feel like this is like an independent watchmaking, but done like a Patek, done like or a Vacheron. It's just a mono pusher, two subdials. You have this warm golden case. You have this uh, dark blue, dark brown around the like printed on the black dial. So it has like a very, very warm feeling. Like it just feels like warm. When I look at it, it makes me warm inside. Especially it's so symmetrical. You have only the mono pusher chronograph, so you just have one pusher to start, stop, and restart, which for me is always cooler than the traditional conventional chronograph, because it's just more complication and it looks much more symmetrical as well. And I really like, if you notice, he put the 12, 5, 6, and 7. I didn't see this in any other watches, that either you have like 12, 2, 6, 4, 6, and so on, or you have the quarters of an hour. But this one has like 5, 6, 7, 12. That's it. So
that's weird.
Yeah.
That's super weird.
Yeah, exactly. The warm colors.
I'm getting a lot of Patek 5070 vibes from this piece.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has this Patek vibes, but just it somehow gives you this, like when you put it on, I didn't put it on, but I think when somebody puts this on, they would feel like thrown back 30, 40 years not 60 years in the past, with like a very elegant tweed suit, maybe a pocket garnish, and a top hat. It looks like a very classical watch.
Yeah, it's a beautiful choice, this, Abdul. I mean, the honey gold, sort of rose gold sort of looks beautiful with the brown dial. Really does.
And I think there is also a shot of the movement, which is also a fantastic looking one.
Just cycle through some of those pics there, Tom, at the bottom.
There's the movement. It's shadowed a bit, but you can see a bit of it.
Yeah, it just looks quite like a watch that I would really enjoy.
Yeah, mono pusher as well. It's such a great feature to have a mono pusher. I mean, you don't have the pushers obstructing the rest of the case, do you? I mean, it's a lovely feature, a mono pusher. I think really is nice.
And you know, Roger Dubuis's high horology, so getting a great, good, let's say, excellent watch. So definitely, yeah, really nice.
Yeah, classy. Roger Dubuis on the buckle.
Looks pretty thin as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does look quite thin, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Not too much movement, bulking it up.
Yeah.
Really classy choice, Abdul.
Thanks. I always like also the non-date chronographs because they are thin and they have like maybe a millimeter or a half or 2 millimeters thinner. So I'd much prefer having a non-date version to have just thinner case on my wrist.
Yeah, they're just saying it's got a late 20s look about it, sort of Art Deco.
Exactly.
Art Deco styling. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, can't get enough of that one. But we'll move on, Abdul. You've got more beautiful choices for us.
Perfect.
Let's have a look here.
Yeah, for me, this one was the most, let's say, the most beautiful watch in my selection, in my opinion, because of this symmetry. Because I like chronographs, but I always hated this idea of having two pushers on both sides of the crown. Because I don't know, I'm not a big fan of it, but the mono pusher just solves this issue.
This one, the Patek.
Yeah, 1436. The 1436 is one of these watches also that I really like because it just has this look that it's a watch that was made for a function. You know, like they built a dual sub-dial chronograph and they thought, okay, maybe we should have like a double split function. And then you can see that the seconds, how they are stacked on top of the other ones, which gives the watch a really nice, cool look. And you can see I like this subdials, this two subdials configuration, because it just gives you this somehow balanced look for the watch. And I think this is also made out of stainless steel, which is not something that Patek usually does.
What time frame is this? A 1940s, 50s watch?
I think, yeah, exactly, 1940s, 50s.
I think Patek were making quite a few. They were making quite a few watches during the 50s in steel.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's see this.
It's a small watch, so it's 33, I think, millimeters, 1940s, exactly, yeah. And I think this watch, even though it's a 33 millimeters, I think it inspired so many other watchmakers of today and of the past as well to make such simple and cool watches. And I chose this one because I think when brigade or the brigade that I chose, I think it's built to, let's say, model this watch because it has almost very similar looks to it. The double split complication. The other one has observatory hands on the ends of the seconds, not at the bottom. And this one has only the 6 and the 12 in Roman numerals. The other one has the whole numeral Roman numerals on the whole dial. And I think this is just like a watch that after that the manufacturer started doing differently, let's say.
Yeah. What's the reference?
1436.
1436, yeah. That's I was having a look in this book. I'm not sure if you can I'll try and get it up. No, so
Orange hand in the chat. Hi, Orange. Ah, yes.
look
That's
at
the
this one
one,
with the
GCB.
Breguet. This one's got the Breguet numerals, man.
That's beautiful, GCB. That's
Look at
really,
this.
really nice.
I was
Really,
looking. I've
really
got this
cool.
book. I was reading it the other day, and this watch just jumped out at me. I was like, "What the fuck is this? It's unreal." Look
So
at
cool.
this. That's a
That,
1436. This one was so the 1436 first introduced in 1939. This one here was made in 1947. Um, Diameter 33 mil, so a little bit small, but they were making these split seconds chronographs way back then, you know.
Yeah,
yeah.
And just banging. Just look at this thing, unreal.
looks so cool.
But yeah, sorry to hijack your presentation there,
No, this one
Abdullah.
was even better looking than the steel one, to be honest. The gold one with the brigade numerals. That's really cool one.
Cool. They were just making just the best stuff, man.
Yeah.
They still do. Yeah, just
But
unreal.
that's a beauty that I think, Abdul. Really is
Yeah,
nice.
I do have a type in chronograph, these simple looking chronographs, or it's somehow like the complicated ones.
Aaron
Here on the
Chan
channel.
could see.
That's all right. I'm going to bed. You don't just have to leave it.
Yeah, I think we can go to the next choice.
Yeah, sure.
I think I have made two other choices left. One of them is a very odd one, but I think it's a pretty cool complication.
I
And
think there's only one choice left
one
of yours.
choice left.
We've got the Heuer Regatta.
Yes.
So this is a very interesting one, Abdul.
Yeah, this is one of the watches that I think is so cool and so like a underrated complication, because the regatta complication is basically made for regatta races, so small boats races, and they have the like different countdowns.
Like the Yacht Master 2.
Exactly. And here you have the same idea that Omega made with the regatta watch, that you have like the red is basically stay, and then when it's blue, I think the first 5 minutes they go out. I don't know exactly the procedure of the regatta race, but basically it's upon 10 minutes or 5 minute countdowns, and each of these present one of those, and then when it's blue all, then you start going, and then you can time different sequences with the crown, and you have only one pusher as well, so all a mono pusher, if you would like to say. But I think this watch looks just really cool, and even though you have like the orange, the red, and the blue, but somehow with this gray background, it just works.
Yeah, it's a very interesting one. I've never seen this one before. This regatta countdown timer. Very interesting one.
Funky.
Yeah, it's made for regatta races. So basically, if you're a regatta fan, you would have one of them or something like that. Or if you're going to a race, I just liked how they looked, the displaying chronograph in a different way. No subdials anymore. It's more or less just round balls, let's say, that each of them has that many minutes, and then after elapsing of this many, you can start the race, and then you can time, let's say, under 60 minutes with the crown as well. So
I think Orange Hand's making a reference back to the Patek. He's saying his split seconds chrono is his ultimate grail. Split second
Yeah.
data would break the internet.
agree.
Yes,
Agree.
that's
Yeah.
right. I think I agree with that, Orange Hand. Yeah, Daytona split second would really break the internet. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so very interesting watch, this one. Do you know what the crescents at the top are? The circles at the top?
Yeah, I think they represent like 5 minutes. Each circle is 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And then after the elapse of, I think, 2 of them, then you start the boat, and then the elapse of 2 of them, you can go out of the harbor. They have like a procedure where you time it with 5-minute procedures, and then it's much easier to see. Okay, 2 blues, go, and it's more functional for people who do it for regatta, like do regatta races.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And I like that it's also only labeled Heuer, so not a tag Heuer, it's a Heuer.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. I think Tom also, exactly. This free diving chronograph from Omega has the same concept. Yeah. To time free dives.
Apnea. I've not heard of that one, Tom. No. And welcome, Tom. Good to see you. So we'll move on to some of my picks.
Let's do it.
And we'll start off with one that really caught my eye, which was this. Oops, we seem to have gone into a different. Seem to have got all the tabs mixed up. But this one, the Universal Geneve Compax 885107 from 1974. Absolutely love this one.
No, that's funky.
Often referred to as the exotic Nina Rind, is without question one of the rarest and most desirable Universal Geneve chronographs out there, with its colourful silver dial and blue sub-registers matching blue Bakelite bezel. Uses a Valtteri 72 movement, of which hundreds of chronographs are powered by. The dial is made by Singer. It's 36 mil and was produced in very low numbers, with apparently fewer than 20 existing today, with about half a dozen having the inverse blue color scheme. The exotic Nina name came from the famous supermodel Nina Rind, who is widow to late Formula One champion Jochen Rind, who mentioned before wearing the Heuers. And it has grown in popularity over the past 2 decades. The Paul Newman is, I guess, in a different league, but the Universal Geneve really does give it a run for money, just for sheer cool and interest factors. And it's actually going for 33,000. I'll just check again. 33,681 pounds. This one.
Whoa.
So it's a lot of money for a Valtteri 72.
Yeah. I really like this weird look on the dial, because it has like let's say is this half a cross maybe, or 75% of a cross on the dial, and then you have like it feels like they had this dial and then they printed the other dial on top somehow.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It looks really nice.
And the Bakelite bezel, but a small watch again at 36 for a 1974 watch.
The colours are great, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're lovely. Really the colours, aren't they? Really nice. It's like a Paul Newman sort of Daytona sort of, but in blue, just in blue. But the price is, something expensive for Universal Geneve. Yeah.
I think it was. Were you saying there's only was it 20 known pieces? Was that right?
Only 20 existing today, with about half a dozen having the inverse blue color scheme, having this color scheme.
Wow.
Yeah.
So half a dozen.
Yeah.
That's why the price is what it is. But yeah, beautiful. Really like this one.
I like it. Yeah. Nice one, Tom.
It looks really nice. Yeah.
So next one. Now, I was going to go for a Breguet Type 20 like yourself, JCB, but I was going to go for the Mark II. You see, this is the Mark 1 below,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's Mark II, which just got dialed. It's made for the French military around the 50s until the 70s. Other brands, as we mentioned, such as Dodane, made Type 20s. Some versions had a full 12-hour chronograph, whilst some only measured 60 minutes. A very important element was the flyback mechanism, which was apparently used for a range of in-flight functions by the pilots. The rotating bezel and flyback chronograph was a central part of design for 38 to 40 millimeters. Before Swatchboard Breguet, the movements had in the 50s were Valjoux and Lemania, and Swatch has since bought both of those movement makers too. But yeah, say I was going to choose this, but you chose it, so I went for something else. I went for something else, which was pretty similar, and is the Heuer Bundeswehr.
Oh.
So this is created for pilots from the armed forces for the Federal Republic of Germany. This watch was produced from 1955 until 1990. Also produced for the artillery. There are several dial variations, and this one has a T at 6 o'clock. 43 millimeters, so it's quite a big watch by 13 thick. It uses a Valjoux caliber 230 column wheel flyback chronograph in a clamshell case. And Heuer were founded in 1860 by Edward Heuer and were established for 125 years before becoming Tag Heuer in 1985. So this is a Heuer. This transitioned from Heuer to Tag Heuer because they're made from 1955 to 1990. So yeah, a lovely one. I love it on the bund strap.
Yeah, it looks really good on the bund strap. Yeah.
And again, the bicompact layout. I'm a big fan of bicompact layout rather than tricompact layouts. To be honest with you, you see the Valjoux 230 movement there, and yeah, it's just a really cool piece. Just move it back.
Yeah, it's just really, really cool.
Yeah, I really like that one. We'll skip on. Now, I mentioned I'm not really a fan of Daytonas, but this I really do like, and this is the pre-Daytona. 6238.
Oh yeah.
Now this is what I'm talking about. You know, this is from 1966. Very rare pieces that had the chronograph printed underneath Rolex on the dial before Rolex branded their chronograph Daytona. Excuse me. And you can see on this picture, so it doesn't have Daytona on the dial, which is why it's called a pre-Daytona. Just has chronograph.
Yeah.
Silver dial has
before they changed it to Cosmograph as well.
Yeah, absolutely, before the space race. So the silver dial has applied hour markers and chronograph counters. It's fitted with a plexiglass using a manual wound Rolex movement, which was basically a modified Valjoux 72. 36 millimeters. Love it. Yeah, really
Yeah,
do.
I love these watches too. They're unreal. They're really cool. Expensive now, aren't they?
Expensive. Yeah, I was going. I mean, I was gonna say, I do love the design, but realistically, I'd be going for something more like this. Something more in this ballpark, which is 1967 Seamaster
321.
on a bead device bracelet. This is from 1967, 35mm on a bead device bracelet, pointed lugs, caliber 321 movement, same as the early Speedmasters. So it's a classic dress piece of Seamasters.
Great looking watch.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will be one of my favorite Seamasters as well, because it's really nice.
I've got a better picture of it here.
They've been steadily shooting up in value as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at this on Chronos 24. They're going for 5,000. The pre-Daytona was £50,000. You can get this for a tenth of the price.
Yeah.
For £5,000. I mean, this is a DeVille model, but it's the same. It's the same one. I mean, look at it. This is using a 321 movement, and you can get it for £5,000.
Yeah.
And it looks gorgeous. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
This is probably what I'd go for realistically, because
Yeah,
I couldn't afford £50,000 for a pre-Daytona. So it'd be something like this.
Yeah.
Really nice.
really clean design.
I love the silver dial. I mean, I really like that silver dial.
Yeah.
Which really
But these,
legible.
when were these around? It was like these are 50s, weren't they?
1967, this one.
67.
Okay.
Yeah, so 1960s.
There's something about sort of 60s chronographs. They've all just sort of got a similar sort of DNA, really, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is really cool. It's really simple. It's elegant. Just they
It's a dress.
they designed it so well back then. Yeah, they just designed it really well.
Yeah, dress watch. I mean,
yeah.
And also with that lovely silver dial. I mean, also another one was the
DeVille had also the 3-1 movement, right?
Yeah, had the 3-2-1 movement at DeVille. But another one is this Heuer pre-Carrera. Pre-Carrera with a silver dial, which would be another option.
Yeah, I think really like GCB said, like if you got all these 60s bi-compass gray dial watches next to each other and just took the name of the brand out, it would be very hard to say this is a Patek, this is a Heuer, this is an Omega, because they have like the same, let's say, spirit for
they do. Yeah,
models.
You're right. I mean, this pre-Carrera 36mm from the 70s as well, 60s as well. Sorry, the hand-wound Valtru 7723 movement, chrome case, leather rally strap. It's gorgeous. Yeah, really nice. So move on.
A movie. If you want to watch it, I think it's called Ford versus Ferrari. Has anyone seen that? They wear all these really cool. Did you notice the watches in the movie?
Yeah.
The dude Carroll Shelby, he's wearing this cool Heuer chronograph, and it features quite heavily in the film. Actually, I don't know if you remember, but it was so cool. It looked unreal on his wrist. It was cool. Any of the punters out there, check that movie out, Ford versus Ferrari. Really cool. It's a cool movie, and it's got cool watches.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a really nice movie. I think maybe
Yeah, no.
Heuer or Tag Heuer made like a partnership because sometimes you get like a movie and you see like, oh, everybody's wearing Panerai somehow. Okay, that's
Yeah, no, I'm trying to make a good point. I mean, a lot of heavy hitters in the vintage chronographs, they all have the same movements. A lot of them using
Yeah.
using value
the money and
movement.
Valjoux, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Venus.
yeah.
Yeah.
So move on to a chronograph, and
Oh,
post 1920s and into the 30s, production of watches witnessed a heightened demand for chronographs, and in 1934, Patek released their very first reference chronograph, named the 13501, which was Valjoux base. 2 years later, they were renamed the reference 130, and these were 33 millimeters. So this is one of the early ones.
wow. 3-digit reference number from Patek, so that's
Yeah, it's a lot of
very
money.
old. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah, and the sector dial looks really cool.
Sector dial looks gorgeous, doesn't it? I mean, this is £286,000.
Wow.
So this is ridiculous money.
Yeah.
And it's a 33 millimeters watch, right?
Yeah. This is from 1938, this one.
Wow.
But another Patek that really took my fancy was this one, which
Ooh.
Wow.
a reference.
That's the.
This is
That's
a stainless steel chronograph with satin finished salmon dial and yellow gold crown, raised gold dial markers. It's estimated that only 270 examples were made in stainless steel, as well as a small amount in two-tone and gold, between 1937 and 1951. So the first series, between 1937 and 42, they made 125 cases. Second series, between 42 and 44, they made 135 cases. And third series, between 50 and 51, they made 24 cases. And this model's a rare case from 1941 from the first series, which is really beautiful, gorgeous. But yeah, another gorgeous Patek, as you can see, with the lovely bicompax registers. But seeing as we had a complication to throw in, I chose a different Patek, which was.
You're a bit of a Patek fan, aren't you, Tom? You're a secret Patek fanboy, I think.
Yeah, possibly.
I think so.
I chose this one, which is I couldn't get a price on.
3970.
Yeah, 3970 EP. Yeah. This is the Perpetual Calendar Chronograph, 1998. This is platinum case, manual wound, 36 millimeters. So I went for this, which was the Perpetual Calendar.
Yeah.
So this is my choice.
I'm never a big fan of diamonds on the dial, but these diamonds on the dial are just classy. They look just nice.
Are they diamonds on the dial?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Looks like
you're
it.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't notice that.
I've never seen one.
That puts me up a bit, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Let's say it's not my cuppa having the diamonds on the dial. It's a bit Rolex. It's 90s, right? Yeah, maybe they're on the 90s bandwagon. They started supplying to rappers around that time, I reckon.
Yeah. Because for me, I like I'm buying if I'm in the market for, let's say, a 200,000 euros watch. Why should I care about diamonds or no diamonds? Like, I'm buying the watch for its pedigree, for the complications, for the horological value. But like you said, like maybe some people who just want to show, okay, I want a couple of diamonds to show that this watch is expensive.
Yeah. So next one I went for last choice was a Heuer calculator. This was a 1977 chronograph. 45 mil by 15.5 thick. It's a bicompax. This was Heuer's answer to the Breitling Navitimer with its outer rotating bezel. And introduced in 1972, this bezel is split so that the outer ring can be rotated whilst the inner ring stays stationary. The calculator can do simple mathematical equations like multiplication and can also do more complex equations like calculate fuel consumption, speed, distance, and rate of elevation. It can also convert weight and volume from imperial to metric system or vice versa. And the caliber 12 featured a micro rotor, which was really nice.
Okay.
But it's it's a really chunky one, and it's just I like the designs in old chronographs. You know, I like the different shapes, and you can see in some of the other ones that I was looking at. I'll just show you some of the other ones I looked at.
This watch is like if you're really flying and you want to really have this vintage flying feeling, then you can calculate the all the stuff that now the modern equipment can do. Because back then you had to calculate if you're flying the plane, how much fuel you used, when to go back, and all this stuff. And having such a watch while flying would be beneficial. I think essential even.
Yeah, but I think into the 70s, 60s, and 70s, you started to get really good case designs, and I really like these sort of funky cases.
This looks like a RM, right? Like a Richard Mill, somehow.
Yeah, this is a pre-Carrera, another pre-Carrera, but in a sort of oval-shaped case design, which is really interesting. Going quite cheap as well. It's only £2,000. This one. So it's.
I always think those things will be really thick, like at 17
like
mil or something.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, that looks pretty cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Good morning, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Yeah, morning, Kevin. Good to see you.
Well, interesting. I don't know if you've got anything coming up, but we didn't look at any speedies, did we? I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
No, we didn't check any Speedmasters. That's a good point. Yeah. But
I'm getting into speedies now, but modern ones. I don't. Vintage speedies as a whole. That's a whole like can of worms. I reckon. Like it's something that I just. It's a rabbit hole that you need to go down properly, and you could spend months down that rabbit hole. I reckon.
This is another one I liked. The vintage Blue Jedi Seamaster.
Jedi.
It has a Lemania movement, seems like it, right? Because of this.
I believe so.
They always put like on the second hand. I just say automatic.
It's a caliber 1040. Caliber 1040. But it could well be Lemania. Yeah, you're right, Abdul. But yeah, had the second hand, which was blue, and the minute hand, which was like an airplane. Minute counter. And that's another funky shape. I think that's at 36 mil.
That's really cool.
Wow, that's funky. I've never seen that watch before.
Me neither.
Yeah, I mean that's Seamaster. I mean, this budget stuff, it's only 1,700, that one.
Wow.
And another top time. I mean, like I was saying, I like shaped watches. And this Breitling top time.
Yeah. Really classic look with the orange hands.
A lot of the top times also had these funky
funky shapes inside.
shaped like the bull of a surfboard. Is it the bull of a surfboard?
No, I haven't seen that one.
It looks like a classic 1970s car tachymeter, right? Like you have the RPM and you have the speed. And always it was like next to each other with a compartment.
Yeah, and that was another one I was looking at. I'll bring that up in a second, Tom.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we didn't choose any IWC as well. I think the Speedmaster is a big surprise, let's say, because it's a quintessential chronograph. But somehow I feel like, I don't know, it doesn't engage my emotion that much. Only the Schumacher ones, because I like Schumacher. I've grown up watching Michael Schumacher and Schumacher in Formula One. But other than that,
Here's one that another orange hand has got. He got the Nevada Grenchen one, but before they were bought out by Nevada Grenchen, they were Croton, and they did this. Just check what it's called again. The Chronomaster Sea Diver Aviator Chronograph.
Cool, that's really cool.
Which was a really nice one.
Bit of a mouthful.
Yeah,
that's like every type of watch type put into one name.
Yeah, I remember.
Chronograph, a diver, a pilot's watch, complete collection in one.
They should have
I think I did a good video on the Nevada Grenchen, and it's a great watch. Great watch.
Yeah, it's cool.
And just another. But there's so many vintage
chronographs. Supposed to have like 5 or 6. How many have you got? Like 20 or something?
Yeah.
I was really precise at 5.
I was just going through a few. I mean, this is the Orfino one that Tom was talking about. The Porsche
really cool one. That's a really cool one. And that has also a Lemania movement. I used to collect this Lemania movement. I think it's 5,100.
That's correct, Doctor. The 5,100 Lemania movement.
And I was collecting it. I had like 5 watches of them, and then some collected it from the US. Just bought everything from me. He was doing the same thing, and he wanted just every 5,100 movement that's out there on the market. So he bought one from me, and he told me, "Do you have any more?" I was like, "Yeah, I have 3 more, but I don't want to sell them." And he was like, "I'll offer you double the price for each." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm selling them, no problem. I'll package them one package and send it to him."
I mean, this came in a black dial, and you can see it also comes in a PVD.
Weren't they in PVD? Yeah, these PVD ones are unreal.
Really cool.
Yeah, the Porsche design PVD ones are great, aren't they? Really funky.
So do they still make the Porsche design ones?
Yeah, Porsche design still making watches. Yeah, sure. I think Jonathan JQH recently bought one.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting one. I reckon, like a new, like a modern one, but this design.
Hey, Faris. I always wanted to get like an IWC Porsche design collaboration watch, because somehow I never had an IWC in my collection. Also, no Porsche design. I thought, okay, that's like ticking 2 boxes with one watch, and they do have cool designs as well.
Yeah, that's a cool watch.
Yeah. I like I said, I used to collect the Lemani 5100, and I used to do hours of just searching online back then. I think like in nine years ago or something like that, and they were pretty cheap back then, like 1,200, 1,100 euros per watch, and pretty satisfying, I have to say. Movement, really good.
So what is it? It was the movement that was put into different watches. Is that right? Or
Yeah, the 5,100.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our roundup, really. I took a few too many in, but that was it. And
good to have more.
we missed Y2K today, and he couldn't make it, fortunately, but he did have a couple, but I couldn't bring them up, I'm afraid. So sorry about that, Y2K. But Y2K is doing a show tomorrow on the Escapement Show. He's doing one at 2 o'clock GMT, and it's Christmas shopping with Y2K. So don't forget to tune into that, guys. Should be a fun show.
Is it like gifts for watch lovers? Is that the thing?
I'm not too sure.
Or is it just fucking Y2K walking around the mall and Christmas shopping
in Singapore buying Christmas presents?
No, I think it could be gifts for the watch lovers. So
because I won't tune in, but I'll get my missus to tune in, and maybe she can get some ideas.
Good idea.
Yeah.
I'll leave you to it, fellas. It was a pleasure as always. I'm gonna jump off.
Yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up now anyway.
Me as well.
Time to go there. Thanks for joining us, everyone. And
thanks everybody.
We'll see you all in the next one.
See you in the next one. Later, fellas.
Bye bye.
Take care, everyone. See you in a fortnight.